Hi guys, the episode that you're just about to listen to is generously sponsored by our affiliates Board Game Crate. Board Game Crate provide a monthly subscription service where they get fresh new games delivered straight to your door. Just head over to www.boardgamecrate.co.uk, and furthermore, if you use our discount code UnluckyFrogIsAwesome, all lowercase, all one word, you'll get a cheeky little discount. It's easy to remember because it's true. Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by your usual hosts, Josh, Hartley and Charlotte Porter this time. How are we doing, Charlotte?
I'm alright. Bit tired. Had a busy day.
Very tired.
Had a busy day, yeah.
Yes, we unfortunately we have spent the day at Glasgow Games Festival, so we're just thought we'd record a quick episode, tell you what we'd been up to, who we saw. Unfortunately, Ben couldn't make it though. He's been
working.
Winter is harvest season for electricians,
Yes.
so he's getting in the corn basically. So it was myself, Charlotte, Callum, Lanky Santa, and my pal Nick. Went to Glasgow Games Festival this morning. Hung around for most of the day as well. Got to see a few familiar faces.
Yes.
Play some old games, play some new games. Yep. So, where do we start?
Well, why don't we start just even walk us through the day? So you got there before I did.
Yeah, we got there slightly earlier, albeit not that much. So. Yep. Nick, Callum and myself walked in. We found Keith of Cardboard and Coffee Games with his game Nuts and Bots, which we've spoken to Keith plenty of times in the past. I'd never actually played his game though, so this was my first crack at Nuts and Bots. So we had fun. It was a good game.
It's changed quite a lot since I played it. I first played it at Aircon.
Yes.
And then I played it again not that much later at Compulsion. And already by Compulsion he'd already started making changes to it based on suggestions from Aircon. And again, this time right enough it's...
Well, from what I understand, he had like a felt board previously, and now it's just a regular board, for like the workspace. But if you've never seen it, basically you've got a factory floor with these different stations for building components, and what you need to do is you need to build a big robot, and you do that by lining up the components in a certain order, and placing your little robots on there. They look remarkably like meeples, but there we go. You put your little robots on the conveyor, and then they go and they build this particular component. And you just do that. Effectively, just do that until you've built your big robot. But not everyone's looking to do the same thing, so your stations all get shuffled about, and you can only do a certain amount of things in a turn. So it was pretty good. We had a lot of fun. I think Callum won it. I did pretty badly. I did not do very well at all, but it's fine. But it's a nicely balanced game, and it never felt like I was completely out of it, even though I wasn't doing that great. And it was we played 3 players, and it was quite close between Nick and Callum in the end as well. So, and then of course you arrived.
Yes.
We had a little bit of time before lunch, so we went and checked out the games library.
Yes, we did.
Pretty well stocked. But I chose a game that I'd heard of, never had a chance to play, and that was Adrenaline.
Oh, yes.
So, Adrenaline is basically, feels like Quake as a board game. So, it feels like a fast-paced first-person shooter. And the idea is you each control a shooter, you've got your miniatures, and you just run around, grab weapons, grab ammo, blast shells into each other. A little more nuanced than... I say a little more nuanced than that. Not an awfully lot more nuanced than that. What did you think of it?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I did win.
You did win, yes.
But interestingly enough, I was speaking to Dave, Tabletop Scotland, about it afterwards, and I was saying, I didn't think I was winning. Though what I did do, which I think actually when you look at the scoring, is I just shot everybody and everything I didn't specifically target. I just was like, because I had the machine gun.
Yeah.
And the machine gun just let you sort of like, you know, shoot into anything. So actually, in terms of the point scoring, I maybe had more hits. Or was first blood.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that.
Because again, it was relatively close between you and Nick.
Yeah,
Nick managed to do pretty well.
I think I was 38, Nick was 31.
And then let's not talk about Callum and I. Like, again, yeah, I got shot to pieces a few times, to be fair.
Yeah.
But do you know what I like? Is little touches, like the miniatures are all lovely, by the way.
Yeah.
Callum's mini that he picked was like an homage to the Doom Soldier as well, and there's lots of little nods to, you know, first person shooters, down to the fact that, you know, one of the weapons is just a chainsaw, which is like a staple. But so that was good, colourful fun. I was saying though, like, good fun. I don't know how much replayability there would be. It was Nick who picked up on that, and I think if that I genuinely haven't looked at what the recommended retail price is. I think if that game's like £40, that's about right. I suspect it might be something like 60 or 70, and then I think I'd feel a bit ripped off.
Yeah, because actually, in terms of components, you know,
you've got some very lovely miniatures.
Yeah,
and it's a very well polished game as well. Actually, like just presentation wise, so can't fault it on that. And very colourful as well.
Very colourful. Yeah.
But so we had fun with that. Then grabbed us a bit of lunch.
But before that, we played Squirrel.
Of course, yes. Very quick 2-player game. So you specifically saw them and said, no, we need to go play this. So talk us through what Squirrel is.
Well, I was coming past and Eric of Juniper Games was chatting to them, so I sort of, what's going on over there? And it's basically it's about squirrels and you're collecting acorns. And so it's now the one that you played was actually had little squirrel miniatures. Like, little squirrel ornaments or something.
Well, actually, if you turned them upside down, they were like novelty pencil sharpeners. And what they'd done to differentiate them was they'd put like a little hairband around one, but he looked like he had like a 70s sweatband, like John McEnroe. So I got into that character, the John McEnroe of squirrels.
And so basically the way it works is there's a grid of 9, like a box of 9, and you start and you move just sort of like to a square adjacent to you. You then flip one of the piles near you to try and find an acorn. And you're basically trying to gather acorns. You're then placing down other ones to try and like bump up the pack.
Yeah.
Because you can only have 3 in your hand at a time. I thought I was doing great because I ended up with 3 acorns. I thought, that's great. That's the maximum you can have. Not realising that you can get 3 acorns and 2 acorns.
Yeah.
And 1 acorn. I was just like, oh, so you got 9. Oh, well, okay.
Well, that was fun.
But I thought I really enjoyed it. It's very simple, very quick. And I think actually what we saw today is pretty much what they're going to be looking to produce.
Yeah.
It's very simple. I think it's all recycled materials. It's all handcrafted. It's all handmade. They even paint the miniatures. Not obviously the 1970s
John McEnroe. Squirrel. Do you think squirrels ever get pissed off about like how one-dimensional they're portrayed in pop culture?
I could imagine.
I mean, like, do you think squirrels ever like see that and like, there's more to us than acorns, guys.
Well, they need to do something about it. They need to let it be known.
Yes. Just like start a movement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That would freak me out, seeing like
organised squirrels.
Like, that's what's stopping them from world domination. They're just disorganised.
Seen the episode of Rick and Morty?
Yeah, there's Rick and Morty. Maybe the squirrels are the real masterminds of the whole world. Never mind these, secret reptile people.
Yeah.
It's actually squirrels.
Yeah.
There we go.
But then maybe this is their first step into world domination. Is this game?
This is them making their opening move. And then it's just like, okay, your move, reptile people. You just try and stop us from dethroning you from the secret
Let's be
secret
honest,
world
though,
domination.
they are a cuter overlord. If we were going to have an overlord,
I think if I was able to choose my overlord, right?
Yeah.
I think a squirrel would be a little bit more I don't know though. Like my granddad catches and kills squirrels, so like.
yeah, but your granddad doesn't like live in the middle of the city. Does he not live in like?
Well, he lives in Burnley, but he gets rid of them because they're pests.
They're pests. They are pests.
So I do wonder if the squirrels would hold that against us, or maybe just against my family.
Exactly.
Whereas I think reptile people probably just have a general disdain for everyone.
These are really deep questions to ponder.
Yeah. We were talking about something. What were we talking about?
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
We were talking about Squirrel.
There we go.
So,
Squirrel's a good game.
yes,
It's a nice little game.
I really enjoyed it. I just thought it was a bit of fun. It's something that I think you could play with non-gamers. That's the whole thing of it. Is that it's
I think it'd be
very simple,
great with children as well.
great with
right?
children, and even just sort of being out and about. You know, you could take it. It's a tiny little box it comes in. You can take it with you. I mean, you can keep it in your bag. You know, you don't need to. You know, it's that small.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that was good fun to try that out. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with that and what their plans are for the future.
So that was neat. So when we had our lunch, we came back and we had a crack at One Survives.
Yes, we did.
So One Survives it's a card game, but basically the setting is you're in like a 70s horror movie, right? you're on a school boating trip. The boat breaks down and you're stranded on this island. But do you know who you're stranded on the island with? Is a serial killer. So you're all basically playing to try and either escape from the island, find the right tools to kill the killer, or be the last one standing.
Yep.
It is a fast-paced card game.
Yep. Well, at the moment it is.
Yeah, it's only 3 weeks in development.
Yes.
So the chaps told us. So, but they've been produced in 3 weeks. What takes a lot of designers much longer. So, you've got your deck of cards. You start with a hand of 7.
7.
Yep. And you've got different cards. You've got green cards that let you run away to a different location. Should you get attacked by a certain serial killer. You've got red cards, which moves the serial killer to a different location.
Yep.
Orange cards, your defences against the killer, so you blast him with a shotgun or something like that. Then you've got, so to escape, you've got to collect certain items and get to a certain location. So for example, if you want to escape by boat, you need to get the petrol, the keys, and the motor, and then you've got to get down to the docks. Mm-hmm. Right, so you've got those cards to collect as well. But what those cards can also do, some of them combine with, you can get a glass bottle and a dirty rag, and you can combine that with petrol to make a Molotov cocktail to actually kill the killer. And there's some other special cards as well, like you can give everyone paranoia, so everyone shuffles around where they are on the island. You can, if you're in the same location as another player and the serial killer attacks, you can play sacrifice and the other player gets thrown under the bus. Wonderful.
That never happened in our turn.
It didn't. Yeah. But it's one of those like niche but very powerful cards.
Yeah.
So we really enjoyed it. Very quick game. It only took us about 20 minutes to play, if that. It's so by that means the fact that it's player elimination isn't so bothersome. It's a bit like King of Tokyo, right? You're never that bothered about being knocked out of King of Tokyo because you're probably only going to be waiting 10 minutes tops until everything's finished anyway. So the same is true of this. And I was saying, and if anyone is aware, please let me know. I can't think of a tabletop game that uses that cliche, the 70s horror slasher film as a setting.
Yeah.
And I find that considering like the embarrassment of zombie and Cthulhu-based games, you think it's not even that far away from zombie games, to the point where when you look at how they've branded it, and I repeat, it's been in development precisely 3 weeks, so this is very early stages. But you almost expect it to be a zombie game, right? Yeah. Because you think, oh, horror, right? Zombies somewhere, survivors, zombies, right?
Because I was really confused. It was like, and there's a serial killer, and I was, how does a serial killer marry into a zombie? And I was like, no, it's not. Nothing to do with zombies.
He doesn't. Is the answer.
But I really enjoyed it. The thing that they were looking at some of the ideas they'd had or suggestions, which was that actually to have the map, like the island mapped out, so that you can place your character cards rather than playing them in front of you, just in your hand, and do it that way, which would make it, a bit more actually interactive, because you could move someone, you could actually physically move people and things like that. But I thought it was a really good thing.
I was I was surprised for a prototype how good it was.
But even then, what we've seen now might not be what they decide to go with.
Exactly.
They might further develop it. But interestingly enough, the reason the game came about was they were on holiday with their teenage sons. So they've each got a teenage son. And they were sort of on holiday together, and they just felt as if there wasn't anything that really was of interest.
Yeah, because their kids are a bit too old now for Uno and the like. And the reason they chose the slasher flick is that the two boys love
horror films,
that genre. Yeah, so that's a neat thing as well.
I actually really like the idea of the survival element, not so much the I'm going to be the hero of the game, but
just
the
being a coward.
Trying to survive, being a coward if you want. But this idea where it's just about, I need to protect myself.
Yes.
Therefore, I'm going to send the serial killer to Josh, and just sort of pass it round. I actually like that, because I don't think there's very many games where it's like that, more so than you're the hero and you're going to kill, you're going to go and defeat the serial killer. I'm just going to get off the island and save myself.
Well, I was trying to get the pieces for the Molotov cocktail, and I nearly got it. I was just missing some petrol, and then the serial killer got sent at me, and I died.
Yeah.
I died. It was nasty.
I kind of feel though it does play out like a slasher film.
Yeah, and whoever they get to do the art for it is going to have so much fun, because there's like just decades of cinema that you can just riff off, right? I was joking with Callum, like they're going to have like the non-copyrighted Jason Voorhees, who's like Jack Voorhees, who wears a welding mask and kills people with a hunting knife. Like
the other thing as well that I was saying was actually the mechanic. You could put a different skin in it entirely.
Yeah, that's true. If they decide for whatever, I don't think they should. I like the theme.
But I was even thinking that like the same mechanic, but rather than it being escaping from a serial killer, maybe it's more of a fantasy sort of like fairy tale element, and you're escaping from the Sandman or something, and you're trying to get him to go after other people so that you can, or even protect a thing. That sort of idea where you're trying to stop him from getting to a something or other. So I saw very much Adventure Time sort of going around my head at that point.
Yeah. But I mean, this is one of the great things about going to conventions like Glasgow Games Festival. You get to try these prototypes, and I'll just mention briefly, because we played last year the prototype for Magnificent Flying Machines, Richard Denning's
Medusa
game. That has actually the finished product's come out now, and we didn't get to try the finished product, but I did look over my shoulder at it being demoed, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
And I remember my dad saying that sounds like a really fun game. Yeah. So I don't know. I might put that on my Christmas list. I don't know. So that was One Survives, and we're moving from one prototype game onto another. We were lucky enough to try out
Space Horizons.
Yes. So, what is Space Horizons?
Well, It was interesting because I hadn't heard of it. I wasn't aware of it. It was actually Nick, Twitter handle Unpopular Mechanics.
Yes.
He's actually sort of helping the person who's designed it.
Yeah, he's going around conventions and demoing it.
So basically, you are trying to. It's like he did explain it really well. It's a space race. Nobody cares about who comes in second.
Yes.
Everybody only cares about who comes in first. And it's this idea about developing space age technologies. And so there's a sort of pool in front of you of technologies, and you have to try and draw ones in order to meet the criteria for the advancements.
To reach certain missions, like, for example, be the first one to Mars.
Yes.
Or to establish a moon base.
Yes.
Or a moon hotel.
A moon hotel, that's right.
Yes.
I had internet for all and video for all.
You got internet for all first, though, which was the bizarre thing, but yeah.
But that's the way to get video to everyone, is to give everybody internet. Otherwise, they won't be able to get all the video.
Video for all was just, guys, we've given you the internet, just go on YouTube.
Exactly.
It was a logical next step, actually.
So, from what Nick was saying, that actually the game development, I do believe, was funded through a pocket of the National Space Agency.
Yeah, which is bonkers. And the idea is, these aren't the technologies and the missions that you have. These are actually grounded in real science as well. These are, either theoretical things or things that are already in development or developed.
Yeah.
And this is the whole idea of it being an educational game. And when we want to sound like high and mighty, we often talk of the virtues of educating people through games. And this is a great example because you're picking up all these technologies, and each card that does explain a little bit what it what on earth what is the significance of robots being able to build things, or this certain type of artificial intelligence, or how does that all fit in to launching a mission to Mars, for example.
I really liked the artwork when there was so basically the cards are quite generic on the flip side, but when you flip them over, there's some beautiful and actually quite surprising, I think, because of the way it was on the first side. I didn't expect it to be quite as artistic.
It was almost like a
what's that? To show that it's been activated and it's sort of like the technologies in use, as it were, not just under research. But I'm really interested to see where it goes from here. I know they were saying, because there's a mechanic where in order to learn the technology, so that it's not just in research, you roll the dice, and if you roll a number higher,
equal or higher,
to it, you get to then turn it over, and when it's turned over, that's when you can use it to apply for the technology. But Tony, shout out to Tony.
Winner of our Brothers giveaway, and so we finally gave him his copy today. Yes, so I hope you enjoyed that.
So and Tony was saying that, because I think actually for him, he'd miscalculated and thought it would be better to get higher ones.
Yeah.
So all of his ones were higher, and that meant he couldn't really get in. And was saying about maybe different mechanics. But then Nick said that I think it was actually Kenny from the Dice Roll Cafe had rolled ones consecutively, and there's I don't think there's any cards with the base value of 1. So there was no way that he was able to actually get a foot in the game. And so that they were even maybe thinking about if you roll a 1, you get a plus token for the next roll or something, just to mitigate that sort of, because when you end up in a cycle of not being able to actually do anything.
Statistically unlikely, though.
But it happened to Kenny.
But happens, yeah.
Kenny rolled 4 1s in a row.
You can be you can maybe take some solace in being a statistical outlier. I don't know if that if that gives anyone any comfort. But so we're getting on towards the end of the day.
Yes.
And
so I caught up with Dave from Tabletop Scotland. Had a wee chat about, just had a good catch up and thoughts for the future and whatnot. And whilst I was doing that, you were with the
I was with
Brainwaves podcast.
Brainwaves. Ian from the Giant Brain and his pal Sam
And Jamie.
And it was Sam who taught me how to play KeyForge. I finally got around to playing it. So KeyForge, as we've mentioned previously on the podcast, is the new card game designed by legendary game designer Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering and other things, but in the context of a card game, that's really all you need to know. He created the daddy of them all. It's fun.
Yes.
It hasn't grabbed me immediately like some games do. However, so what you're doing is, unlike games like Magic or Pokemon, where there's some sort of direct conflict, you do get to fight creatures. But by killing your opponent's creatures, you're maybe stopping them from winning the game, but you're not winning the game yourself. The whole idea is you're trying to forge 3 keys. And you do this by collecting the currency in the game, Amber, and you trade in 6 Amber to forge a key. And this is why it's good to fight your opponent's creatures, is because your creatures are the ones that mine Amber for you. So there's a balancing act of, keeping your opponent off their feet while at the same time trying to further your own plan. So it's neat in that respect. Now, I think what most people have been talking about is the distribution model. This is not a traditional distribution model in the sense of Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, where they are trading card games where you acquire cards through booster packs, or a living card game like the Game of Thrones card game or Arkham Horror, where you buy expansions. Each deck it's one of Fantasy Flight's new unique games. Each deck is completely unique in its makeup, in what cards appear and in what frequency. And there's been a lot of jokes about some of we mentioned it on last week's episode, some of the
names.
Yes. I can't quite remember the full name. I should have took a photo of it, the full name of the deck that I chose, but it was something the Battle Beaker.
The Battle Beaker?
The Battle Beaker.
As in a beaker, like a jug?
Well, Callum and I chose to interpret it as, do you remember Beaker from the Muppet Show?
I would love a Battle Beaker!
Yeah, it's like a swole beaker.
No, I don't even see him swole, I just see him, in really oversized armour, and just,
Well, there's one of the cards was, a knight in full plate and visor down, and I was saying, oh yeah, you flip the visor up and it's just Beaker there, just going, me, 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 me.
Battle Beaker.
The Battle Beaker. And each deck is made up of 3 clans, houses. I'm not quite sure. Factions, something like that. So on each of your turn, you can play. You choose a faction and you play from your hand and activate cards of those factions. So you get as much as you can. Each card can do a thing once, and then that's it. So it's a really well designed and balanced game, but most people are talking about the distribution model. I think it's been a bit. I chatted briefly to Ian about this because I think a lot of people have been concerned about. Well, there's no control over what cards you get in and all of that. Ian made the point. I do agree with him. This is probably very competitive players who are making this complaint, and just, quite frankly, this game ain't for you.
Yeah.
This is for just, if you like pre-release events for Magic the Gathering, or Pokemon, or for that matter, this is something you will enjoy. Because you don't know what deck you're going to open up with. And each deck only costs £9. Yeah. So you and a pal can just go to your game store. Yeah. £9 each.
More accessible than some of the other card games at the moment.
Oh yeah, well, compare it to. Well, never mind. So the price of a Magic the Gathering pre-release is £25 typically, right? You get a lot more cards, albeit, but frankly, the vast majority of those cards aren't worth squat. Yeah. So it's a bit here nor there. to build a standard legal deck in Magic, you're probably looking at sinking about 200 quid at least. And that's just standard. So, you know, granted, Magic's one of the more expensive ones, but I think Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not exactly cheap to build a deck either. So it's interesting, and because you never know what you're going to get, and each deck plays out very differently, it keeps you on your toes. You know, you've got to adapt to different play styles. So I think it's neat from that respect. Like I said, I can't quite... It's actually annoying me. I can't quite put my finger on what it is that made me think, I'm not quite... It's not quite gripping me as some other games have.
Maybe it didn't meet your expectation.
Well, I don't really know what I was expecting, because, like I say, everyone was talking about the distribution model. No one talked about the game itself, really, like how the game actually plays out. And it is a good game. Like, I kind of take a step back and I see, okay, just from that one experience anyway. Yeah. Things certainly appeared fairly balanced. I lost, incidentally, but I never felt like the game was out of reach until like towards the very end. So I don't know. I think it's something I definitely need to try more of, and I will. So that's my 2 cents on it. I don't really have a conclusion on it so far, and that's very unsatisfying. But
you'll just have to play more of it.
I will just have to play more games. What a shame.
So that was our Glasgow Games Fest. It's still ongoing at the moment as we're recording
as we record. It's on until 11 o'clock at night.
But we were beginning to.
We were flagging, and frankly wanted pizza, so we've come home for pizza.
But what's your take on the event then?
All right, do you know I really enjoyed it this year, and I'll tell you why. When we went last year, I had no idea what we were expecting, and if I'm being perfectly honest, I was a little disappointed last year because it's a small convention. Yeah. And that seems weird that this is one of the big conventions in Glasgow. Glasgow's one of the the big city in Scotland. Yes. You'd expect by that logic that this convention would be massive, right? But actually, having knowing that's the scale and that's what to expect, I actually really enjoyed it, and there were more people this year. There were definitely more people. It never felt claustrophobic or crowded or too busy, and it was just nice. Whereas, don't get me wrong, things like UK Games Expo are amazing, but at the same time, that is an exhausting experience.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think having this at the end of the year, and now us, because actually this was the first convention that we went to, last year. I think it was like episode 6 or something. It was, we weren't even that into it by that point. Yeah. But having had a full year, a calendar year of events, of conventions, this one feels very much like a cool down.
Yeah.
And actually, you need that. You need one where you go where it's not exhausting, where it's great to meet up with people. It's just very laid back. It's just,
Do you know the other thing is as well with the other end of the scale, comparing it to UK Games Expo. UK Games Expo, it's very tiring. You're spending a lot of time on your feet, running around, seeing different people. I don't know about you. I actually didn't play that much games at UK Games Expo. Spent more time talking to people about games.
It's a very different. That's the thing. It's a very different convention.
So it was nice to sit down, chill out, and just play some games. I play some prototype games as well, because that's always fun. There's a load of people that we only sort of said hi to very briefly as well.
Maybe should give a big shout out list. So why don't we do that?
Are we gonna rattle through some shout outs? So shout out to Bez as always. Yep. Bez was the reason we went last year, basically. She was the one who asked, are you going to Glasgow Games Festival?
Like, what's that?
Yeah, what is that? And Bez was there again this year demonstrating Wibble++. And her other games. Yep. She was giving me a little update on how things are going with Kitty Cataclysm,
Yes.
which we're very looking forward to. We've mentioned on the podcast already that Sylvester features the Porter's household cat.
He is one of the, I don't know if I say one of the, but he is a cat burglar.
There we go. Nice.
They see him running off with a fish.
Nice. So good. It was always good as always to chat to Bez. One free elephant with there, albeit minus Sarah.
Yeah, Nigel.
Nigel and the 2 children.
Yeah.
Were there. Good. You managed to quickly say hi to Nigel, didn't you?
I had a chat with Nigel. He was just talking about asking him how the come down's been since that little Kickstarter microbrew.
I mean, I was.
I told him that.
Did you?
Yes.
So one of my I'm out of the closet as a nerd at work. So people actually know that I do this podcast and play tabletop games and Dungeons and Dragons and the like. And one of my work colleagues, Jamie, he's into video games, so there's a little bit of. I used to be into video games, so there's a bit of crossover there and just. General chat, and he comes over to my desk and he says to me, Josh, I went on Kickstarter and I've backed my first ever tabletop game. Oh, that's great, Jamie. What did you back? Yeah, it's this game where you're an independent brewer and you're brewing these beers. Is it called microbrew by any chance? Yes, it is. This was uncannily the day before our interview with Nigel went out as well. So Jamie's listened to the podcast now as well. I'm glad Nigel's chuffed with that. Yeah. But I mean, I kind of thought when we were looking at microbrew and by the time we were interviewing Nigel, obviously had already funded, smashed its goals.
Yeah.
But even before that, I kind of thought to myself, this is going to go down well. I didn't think it would go down to the tune that it did, but I thought it would fund easily because it's craft beer is in a very popular place, and I kind of see that Venn diagram of people who play board games and people who like craft beer. I suspect there's a reasonable overlap there, right?
But even looking at it in terms of its size, we're saying that it's the ideal stocking filler. And the way they were selling it, where you could buy more than one copy, was great. So that was one free elephant. We had Wreck and Ruin.
Mark Mackinnon of Wreck and Ruin fame.
So we never got to play Wreck and Ruin, but we had a good chat with Mark.
Do you know what he did have, though? Which I was absolutely in love with when I saw. He has the renders of all the miniatures. Did you miss him?
I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, no. So the stretch goals on his Kickstarter were alternative sculpts for the different factions.
No, I've seen the one where it's like the animals.
Yeah. Yeah, so he had the miniatures with him.
I never saw the miniatures.
They look amazing in the flesh. Right, so to be fair, they are renders, so they are more detailed than what the final product will look like. But they were fantastic. I really love the Desertkin beasts. Yeah,
these chocobos.
Big. Yeah, these big. Yeah, you've got the little, instead of motorbikes, the scouts ride on these ostrich things, but the big tanker is this huge rhinoceros style creature with horns. It's amazing. But all the other factions are great. The Ruin army look really sleek and very well polished.
So good.
It just it looked fantastic. They look fantastic, and I cannot wait to receive my copy. So really excited for that.
And then beside Mark, we had Justin of Bad Cat Games.
Justin was there next to us, demonstrating his game Gladiatores. Good fun gladiator combat game.
It was on Kickstarter briefly, but he's made changes to it.
Okay.
And they're looking to sort of relaunch the Kickstarter in April, and he was chatting through some of the changes they've made, and I think they're going to be really good. Because one of the things, and I think, it's maybe true, he was saying that people are more focused on the arena combat, the gladiators, but actually the gladiators are subsequent to you as the player, who is technically the manager.
Yeah.
So it's your job to manage the gladiators.
Mm-hmm.
So you are the school leader.
Yeah.
So he's developed a way where it's more of a focus on, you know, there's going to be new, I think he was saying potentially new components and new bits in
Yeah.
it to make it feel as if you are in charge. You're
Yeah.
not just in control of the gladiator.
You're not the gladiator.
No.
You're the guy at the side, like,
Yes.
shouting, "Stab him! I've got an idea! Stab him!"
So, and I think that's probably more, actually for myself anyway, I feel like I could maybe get a bit more into that. I mean, I really enjoyed playing Gladiatores, but the idea that I could grow a school almost
Yeah.
to shape what would become the most popular, famous gladiatorial school in the whole of history. That's what I'm going to design, not you.
All right.
I'm going to beat you.
Okay. Shots fired. There we go. So Justin of Bad Cat Games was there. We also had Medusa Games, as we mentioned briefly earlier. Richard Denning had Magnificent Flying Machines as well as Fire of London.
But now the quick run through. So we had Dave from Tabletop Scotland.
Yes.
We had Nick from Unpopular Mechanics.
Yes.
Tony. Who else do we have? Ian McAllister and Sam and Jamie.
Yeah, of the Brainwaves. Yeah.
Who else did we go for? There was loads of folk.
Yeah, I know.
Eric from Juniper Green Games.
I was just going to say, Keith from Cardboard and Coffee. Blah, blah, blah.
The Lucky Sparrow Cafe.
We missed them.
I saw them floating about on the horizon.
Sort of flying
around on the horizon, but I never got a chance to speak to them.
Lucky Sparrow. Were there. Why is my mind going
There's lots
blank?
of people. No, I can't think
so many
of
people,
anyone.
all the people in the world.
So many people.
They all go hand in hand.
To Glasgow Games Fest.
I'm so predictable. Right, but we are shattered.
Yes.
So, look, guys, thank you very much for listening to our little roundup there. Be sure to check us out.
Yes.
And very shortly, you may have been picking up a parcel this morning.
Yes.
Yes.
I may have been carrying it around Glasgow Games Fest with me, and I did get some questions as to what that big box was.
Yes. So we'll be there might be a little video on the horizon soon. So stay tuned for that as well. But until next time, guys, you take care. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
We are Unlucky Frog Gaming, and I am Ben. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for Unlucky Frog Gaming. You can also show your support by giving us money through the Unlucky Frog Patreon. And be sure to check out our website, unluckyfrog.com, to find out more.